My name is Kelly Ayat, quarterback at the University of Montana. In the off-season, it's important to do everything you can to prepare for the season. In high school, that means funding your program. In my experience, Vertical Raise is the ultimate online fundraiser platform. Now broaden your reach of your fundraiser and bring in more money than other platforms. And there are no sneaky or hidden fees like other companies. If you're trying to raise money for your program, reach out to Vertical Raise today.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
All right, Tootell, Big Sky Breakdown, SkylineSportsMT.com. And sorry for altering the procedure here last week. Wanted to have Ryan on the show live, both out of desire and necessity, because a lot of times our first hour on my daily Nuanez Now radio show, which Ryan is proudly displaying the 102.9
right
letters for you.
Represent for everybody here.
Yeah.
Boom.
A lot of times just a lot of heavy analysis, and I'm playing a lot of sound bites from the previous week. Well, guess what? The Cats and the Griz both had the week off. So I said, Ryan, let's come have some fun and actually talk about the full playoff picture. But that meant no Tuesdays with Tootell. So sorry about that. But I did post the podcast links, but got a bunch of comments. People liked it, but they said it's more structured than you guys really are. And I said, well, yeah, we're on the radio.
Yeah, that's why. And also because we took 48 seconds to send 2 text messages back and forth, and that's what preparation looks like for us. I thought we nailed it.
Big picture guys, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Hey, my mentor in the talk radio business, told me that talk radio is actually super simple. All you have to do is come up with questions to ask each other and then talk about it and just ask each other questions. So
that's right. I mean, in its most sort of basic functional form, that's pretty accurate.
Who is more screwed? We're going to talk mostly college football, but we're recording this at 10:15 on Monday night because we just watched an overtime game.
The Eagles.
Who is more screwed? The Eagles, the Chiefs, or the Ravens?
Actually, the Chiefs are. I think the Eagles have a pastry walk the last 4 weeks of the season,
right?
And they're already. I mean, they lose tonight, but they're 8-5.
Sure.
They're still. I mean, their division is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And so the Eagles are in the draft. The Eagles are going to win the NFC East. So really, it was the Chargers who had to have this because they have a murderer's row coming down
totally
the stretch here. But I think the Chiefs are in trouble, man. I mean, they're going to have to play Denver again, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
They've got to play the Chargers this coming week, and they're already in a position where if they win out, they still need help.
They still can't. Yeah, they still can't win.
So I mean, they've already lost. They literally we're a month away from the end of the season, and they literally are out of their division race.
Yeah,
that's incredible, and that's a tip of the cap to the Broncos for ripping off 10 straight. You know, but it's also a surprising development in the team that's won the last 9 AFC Wests is out here first week of December. Crazy.
Yeah, it really wasn't even an opinion question when you put it so succinctly, because it's actually true. The Chiefs are the team that is the most in trouble because they cannot win their division. They're 4 games back in their division already. I mean, 4.5, like you just said. They're out of it. Whereas, even after tonight, Philly has a 1.5 game lead in the East. And even after yesterday's abomination by the Ravens, they're still half a game out of first place.
They're playing Cincinnati this week.
Right. Totally. And they get to play the Browns again, too. So, and they get to play the Steelers in basically the de facto championship game, whereas the Chiefs are totally up a creek. Okay, you have some stories from the game, but you asked me a question first, then we'll get to your stories. Ryan attended the game as a sort of conscientious observer that was more like just a dad hanging out at the Griz game on Saturday.
We'll get into it. Just story time with your old boy Gus here, taking his son to the ball game. So I got some fun ones from that for sure. But I'll say an initial, just something that sort of occurred to me as I've been reflecting on this game and the Cat game, which admittedly I've seen bits and pieces of, but I have not gone back and rewatched their game against Yale as of yet, in its entirety. But this was the first game. Let me say it differently. This was the first week in 2 months where I thought the two games compared to one another, the one that Montana played and the one that Montana State played, the Grizzlies were by far the better of those two teams on the field against their opponent.
The most impressive, yes.
Does that make sense? Like we've seen this whole run where the Grizzlies keep winning, but the Bobcats have been winning by 30, 40, 50 points against teams down the stretch. I mean, just housing people, and Montana has been winning, but sometimes winning close and sometimes winning kind of ugly, whereas the Bobcats had really just kind of been rolling. And then obviously you talk about, the brawl, and that was a great game, a hugely competitive game, of course, but Montana State won on the road. So, what do you say? And then all of a sudden you turn around, and I mean, this week, to me, the Grizzlies looked like the team in the country doing what they did against South Dakota State. So I'm wondering, my question, come full circle, is what is your impression? 8 teams remaining, 2 of them in the state of Montana, and today, coming off of this week, what does your power ranking look like between these two teams, and has it shifted at all based on what you've watched this last Saturday?
Well, I'll say it like this first. It's so funny because of the way the FCS has evolved because of North Dakota State's dominance within the FCS and what the general conversation amongst the lexicon of people to pay attention to the FCS is. If you talk football on almost any level, the most low-hanging fruit and the easiest thing for people to understand is quarterback play. And that is like the third thing on the list when people in the FCS talk about it, even though North Dakota State has had 4 NFL quarterbacks, because it's all about line play and physicality and can you win in December and bad weather and all these different other things that just encompass Montana and the Dakotas so much. Even when South Dakota State has Mark Gronowski, we think of it as South Dakota State being so awesome, and they just happen to also have this awesome quarterback, but he's a cog in the machine. Cam Miller, he's a 6th-round draft pick. But NDSU did not win the national championship in people's minds because of Cam Miller. They won it because of their team and their program. So interesting. And then in Montana, at Montana State, you've had all these great quarterbacks, but also a whole bunch of unorthodox quarterbacks over the last however many years. Mm. And at Montana, you haven't had a quarterback worth of shit in a while. And so, to then have the thing that played out over the last couple of weeks be completely dictated by quarterback play, I think that's one, a testament to the talent that Montana State has. 2, I think we need to be a little tenuous and over evaluating or overreacting. But 3, If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. And to me, you can do all the deep dive nuances of all of this, but Justin Lamson had his worst game on Saturday. He played terrible, and he only threw for 92 yards, and the Cats' offense sputtered. And Kale Ayat played the best game of his life. I mean, he threw for 360 yards and 4 touchdowns, but beyond the stats, he got through his progressions. I mean, he had some unbelievable checkdowns. You actually have to wonder the fact that he's wearing a knee brace, if that actually helped him in terms of throwing it, because he was, getting it out quick and trying to protect himself. But I just, to complete your point, I thought the Grizz were absolutely, first of all, better than they were a year ago. Second of all, more equipped to make a run at a national championship than at any time during Bobby Hauck 2.0. But third of all, not quite in the upper echelon, like the top echelon.
Right.
I thought the Grizz were leading the second pack, which that puts them at third.
They might have been the only team in the second pack.
Totally.
Right?
I thought there was one on October 25th when North Dakota State and South Dakota State played, and North Dakota State destroyed them. I thought there was one team in the country that could win the national championship, North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Then, when November rolled around, I thought there was 2, Montana State and North Dakota State. I started to lean saying, okay, I actually think Montana State might be able to go beat North Dakota State. After Saturday, I thought there was 3 teams, and then that got reduced to 2 teams when North Dakota State lost. And honestly, because of the way the bracket, we'll get to the bracket in a minute, but because of the way the bracket went, UC Davis could also win the national championship just because of the side of the bracket that they're on, and because they have a quarterback who's playing outside of his mind too.
I mean, what does this do for the Big Sky Conference? Where all three of your teams that are in the thing, they all win. Missouri Valley nosedive.
Yep.
And now you're sitting here with 37.5% of the bracket is Big Sky Conference teams left when it matters.
3 of them at home too, and they're all favored.
All at home, right?
And they're all favored. So
yeah.
I mean, you could absolutely have 3 out of 4 in the semis,
in the Final Four.
So, but to finish the point, we have said no less than 4 and maybe as many as 6 times this year. Wow, that's the best game IATA's ever played. Well, Saturday was one of the best games I've seen played in that stadium by a quarterback in 10 years. I mean, in a really long time. That was an all-time great game by a Griz quarterback. And if IATA plays like that, Montana can beat everybody. Montana can absolutely win the championship if their quarterback and their offense play like they did on Saturday.
It was phenomenal. And, yeah. At the risk of relitigating this is why you just pick him and go from day fucking 1. Okay? So, but let me just bump
we don't have to relitigate it. I got a text on Nuanez now today. Somebody was saying that I have it all wrong, that my continued opinion that they should have basically the person was saying the 2 quarterback system helped IAT's development last year because he didn't get thrown to the wolves. And again, we don't have to litigate it. That's asinine. It's just incorrect because look at him now.
I have such a good story for you. I'm ready. Coming out of the game that will circle back to that. But no, we can finish. Here's the thing, man. You're so right in saying, hey, because the Grizzlies looked like the best team, and in fact were the best team in the United States of America, this past weekend. Well, except for who beat Mercer?
I mean, I know you probably haven't had time. You haven't had time to watch that game yet,
Dude.
But like.
In 1959, at Street's Grocery in Whitefish, Montana's special spice was born. Alpine Touch. It's the taste you grew up with, well seasoned through the test of time. As the tradition carries from one Montana generation to the next. From its humble beginnings to a trusted brand, here's to the next 60 years. Alpine Touch. Montana's special spice since 1959.
Oh, Tara. What up, E?
What's going on? Man, those are some nice medals.
Yeah, man, these are hard to come by.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 of them.
Well, that's nothing like going to March Madness, though.
We did go to a national championship.
Okay, guys, whatever. Let's just get on the Montana party bus and head over to Press Box for lunch.
Yeah.
Nuanez now and Skyline Sports, covering Montana athletics and the Big Sky Conference better than anybody. The Montana Party Bus and the Press Box are also proud supporters of Montana athletes.
Hey, cheers to you guys, man. Cheers to Montana. Cheers to chasing more champions.
And I know nothing about Mercer besides I watched him in week 0 against UC Davis, and I actually wrote like a primer story because it was the FCS kickoff.
Yeah.
So I did a little research into him or whatever, but like that was among the most embarrassing, sad performances I've ever seen. Like Mercer was stuck in the mud. Good job, South Dakota State. South Dakota State's very good. Their quarterback's good. Their running back's good. They have a good defense.
South Dakota.
Excuse me, South Dakota, University of South Dakota.
Yes.
Good quarterback, 4-year starter, good running back. But like, dude, 47-0 on your home field. Get out of here. What are you doing?
Well, literally, get out of here. Get out of here. You can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
So anyway, the University of Montana looked like the best team in the country Saturday in the moment when you have to be that now.
Yep.
And I would think that it would just be heartening. I mean, I don't know that the belief or whatever has, ever wavered or been in question in that room or with that football team, even coming off of the loss to Montana State. But you can sense what Griz Nation is sort of feeling. And when you go to these games, you can sense levels of confidence or anxiety. And I thought it was very tempered optimism, very tempered hope even, where I think the Griz fans thought that Montana could win and maybe even felt that they should win, but were really expecting that this might actually be the end of the road, just because it's like, are you serious? South Dakota State with their quarterback back, and that's what we get, in our first game or whatever. And now I don't think there's a Montana fan right now who doesn't actually think they're winning the whole damn thing. Like they really and you should. But to your point, one game does not a playoff make, good as it was. And Montana State sort of fumbling around a little bit and kind of not being dominant the way that we've seen them, and hey, maybe tip of the cap to Yale. I mean, they're riding high off of their huge comeback, and they show up and they play a good football game. But you go, okay, well, what do what's going on over there? But especially now more than ever, a win is a win is a win, right? So just move on to next week and see what you do. But certainly there can't be a fan base happier than the Grizzly fan base today.
Right. And also, though, there's so much exposure in the world now that like narratives sometimes manifest themselves as being true, or like it just tempts human nature even more. Montana State having a letdown after getting to parade the Great Divide Trophy all the way around Washington Grizzly Stadium and have a signature, all-time great win. It's Brent Vigen's best win. Yeah. And they had it in Missoula, and then he, went and saw about another woman for a minute and, came back to Bozeman, and all those things play into it. Yale also came well prepared. They're a good team, all that, whatever. We don't even need to get into the ins and outs of it. All I'm saying is I saw this great tweet, and I've actually quoted this once already this week, and I don't know who it's from. I apologize to you because you have a Twitter name that is not your actual name.
An anonymous handle.
But the person said, Montana played exactly like a team that lost a heartbreaker at home to their rival in their season finale because they wanted revenge. And the Cats played exactly like a team that won the Big Sky Conference on their rivals' home field and got to celebrate for 2 weeks. And so, I wouldn't want to be Stephen F. Austin this week. I think this is like a Mercyhurst, Eastern Washington scenario where, like, the last time the Cats had a sputtering game, they came out and won 57-3. I don't think they would have 57-3 on Saturday, but I wouldn't want to be Stephen F. Austin. But also, if you're the Grizz, like, what a great response. And we keep saying this, but what a great coaching job by Bobby Hauck. Because to with conviction say, after you lost a heartbreaker to your rival on your home field, that was among, if not the best football games we've played. And if we can play like that, we will continue to win football games. And then to make that a reality is pretty impressive. Also, to just pull the gloves off and do what they did offensively, also really impressive.
Absolutely dominant. And again, we know about guys who left, from last year to go with the coach to a new place. And we know about a bunch of injuries to the starters, not just the quarterback, but a bevy of guys who are important to that football team.
Yep.
It's still the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. And you throw for 360 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. You run Eli Gilman 24 times for an average of 5.6 yards per touch, 24 times. You are putting that boot right up in there for an entire football game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Offensively, it can't be done better, man. It cannot be done better than what the Grizzlies did.
The key stat is the 32 first downs. I asked Bobby Hauck about Brett Pease's game plan and his calls and stuff.
Yeah.
And, of course, he started by being contrarian, and he said, well, it's nothing new. We have all that stuff in all year long. And I was like, okay, get to the point. You haven't run the Statue of Liberty all year long. Like, you haven't run the double mesh crosser to Stevie Rocker or for a second touchdown. You haven't run the wheel route up the sideline. Okay, like, I get it. I know what you're saying. You've had them in since fall. You ran them all today. So, like, tell me about it. But, that's it. Hauck then went on to give me a great answer, basically, where he said, when you move the sticks that many times, you're getting down your play sheet. Like, every time you get a first down, second down, six from this spot, boom, 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 and he's just got it all dialed. But that's the other thing, man. This is my last question on this, then we can do some story time. The Grizz, I think everybody knew had a chance to be very good because of talent, because of scheduling, because of home games, because of all these different things coming into this year. And they went 11-0 before they lost to the Cats. But there was like this lingering frustration amongst a lot of the fans because of some of the times when they left some stuff to be desired. First half of the year, they were basically the comeback kids. Second half of the year, they would get up 22-0 and then let their foot off the gas for a while. And then, win going away, but not nearly as dominant as Montana State, et cetera, et cetera. But they pulled the gloves off the last 2 weeks, and they stopped rotating as much on defense. They're not playing some of those guys in the secondary that can't really hang as much. They got Prince Ford back. That's a huge impact too. But on offense, we are seeing it all hang out, right? You're seeing everybody get involved. You're playing fast. You're running tempo. You're throwing the rock. You're running the rock. Is this all just according to plan? Like, did they actually manage this to get to this point?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but they did get to this point. So it really doesn't matter how or why. If you played the best football game you've played all season long, and even if it is fueled by a loss in the
best football game since win. Best football game since win for the Griz. Like in your estimation of at Washington Grizzly Stadium.
I mean, since the win over North Dakota State.
The back-to-back
wins. The NDSU overtime.
North Dakota State and Furman, those back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, I mean, beating NDSU is, I mean, but even that, I mean, that was just a straight heavyweight fight battle. This was an ass kicking.
Totally.
And so, I mean, in that regard, I mean, this is the thing. The Grizzlies get stuffed on 4th and goal from the 1 and turn around and give up a 95-yard touchdown, and they're down. Like, all of the momentum in the stadium and the team after the interception to open the game is with the Grizzlies. And then they don't stick it in, and then immediately SDSU goes different distance, and you go, Is this it? But I texted you before the game. You have this in your deal. I said, Grizzlies are winning by double digits.
You did. You told me.
And after that sequence, and now they're down 7, you go, okay. But let's just see for a minute here.
Yeah.
And it took them a little while. They were down for, 14-6 or whatever later on in that game. But once they got rolling offensively, especially, I mean, they would, if they were still playing right now, they still would be scoring touchdowns right now. Like, there's no answers when they had it going the way they had it going. You know what I mean? And so that is to win by 3 touchdowns after you spot them 7 points, which is a 14-point swing.
More than 7 though, even, right? Because I mean, this is where revisionist history gets stuck in your head, right? Like, and not just you, I'm just saying in general, like human nature, the way that people watch football games. The Griz were down 14-6, 22 minutes into this game.
Yeah,
22 minutes. Like, it was a third over before they got going, and then they had to settle for a field goal because they got stopped inside the 10. So now they're down 14-9, and then they were able to chip away to get it to 22-14 at halftime, but still not running away with it. And then it was boom, running away with it.
Yeah. So, again, a very impressive win. And then the question is now, like, how do you build on that going into South Dakota? And doing it, this is from the Tiger Woods Book of Golf, which clearly I've never read. But
which one? There's a lot of them.
Oh, no, who knows? But, like,
I'll let you borrow a couple.
The idea, and a lot of people do this, I certainly have done this, but you're on the driving range or whatever, and you're warming up, and you just finally, like, flush a long iron, right? And you're like, okay, good. That's the feeling I want. I'm going to end on this. And Tiger's like, no, repeat the feeling. Can you do it again? Like, you flushed it. Can you get up there and flush it again? And can you do it again? And, like, that repeating greatness is where it's at, and it ain't easy. And they just flushed a 2-iron for a double eagle. The Grizzlies did, and you probably aren't going to, it's not going to be like that for the next, if they're fortunate enough 3 games, right? But can you still execute at that super high level? And I don't think there's a player on that football team who doesn't think they're going to go out and score whenever they want to right now.
Right, Tootell, join us on the Big Sky Breakdown, probably presented in part by the Press Box. Press Box is the official headquarters of Grizzly Athletics. I went and hung out the press box after the game just for a little while. Saw a good amount of you guys after the Griz game, and so always fun to see you. And thanks for saying hi. Certainly, met up with good buddy Marty Mortaweg at the press box just for a minute, just about 20, and he proclaimed this is the best Griz offense in the history of the program. And he's the guy that leads with that Dave Dickinson's the second best quarterback in Montana history, behind Marty Mortaweg. So if Marty's saying the offense is better than his offense, then he thinks it's really good.
I mean, you're hard. There, I think there's some more games you got to win before you start hanging up those sorts of things. But again, it looks pretty well oiled right now.
Yeah. So last thought for those that are watching and saying, well, South Dakota State is down. South Dakota State's a 9-5 team. South Dakota State has a first-year head coach. Why are you giving South Dakota State so much credit? I will just say this. I think that they have the most stable program in the FCS that's not named North Dakota State. And I think that's even above Montana State. They started their rise a couple of years beforehand. They've been in the semifinals every single year since 2017, except for one time. So,
and they got 2 rings.
They have 2 rings. Nobody else since 2016 has any besides NDSU. I mean, they've been in the championship game 3 times. 4 times if you count the spring. So, it has been a defined pecking order: North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana State for the last 10 years. And so to knock that team out, again, you can say they're hurt, they're down, first-year head coach, whatever. They got an NFL athlete playing quarterback, and they won in Bozeman in September, and they were the number 2 team in the country on October 25th. That's 6 weeks ago. So, even 5 weeks ago. So they were right there. So that's my last point there. What do you want to know about the Cat game quickly before we do some story time?
Well, I just know that, I kind of watched it develop, and it seemed like it was it was a defensive struggle all the way through, but was it as much as the tweet that you quoted out? It's just almost more of like kind of just getting over a bit of a hangover, even though you do have the bye week in there to get back out there. And then also, is it styles make fights, and is it that sort of thing where there was only a handful of possessions compared to what it might have been? That kind of thing?
I think there's several factors. I think one, Yale took a crazy amount of momentum into Bozeman because they're dead in the water. They're down 42-14 in the third quarter at Youngstown State. They come roaring all the way back and win. So they have tons of confidence. It's a cross-country trip. It's a new opportunity for them. So there's one factor. I think the second factor is that they ran a defensive scheme that Montana State was not prepared for. And that's not because of a lack of preparation on the Bobcat side. Brett Vegan said they hadn't seen a lot of stuff Yale was running on defense, period. So you wonder if that's just, Sean McGowan, the defensive coordinator at Yale, just pulling that out and saying, hey, our guys are smart. We can learn some stuff. We got nothing to lose. We're 24-point underdogs. Let's throw the kitchen sink at MSU. I think third, and this is what I expected, Yale on the perimeter and everything that wasn't in the trenches was below standard compared to the Big Sky Conference, but their lines were very good. And I think part of that is just because Yale's just not getting a lot of guys coming in or going out. You're going there and you're playing there for 4 years or 5 years.
Right.
They have 4 seniors on their offensive line, so those guys have played together a little bit, and they're smart. And they have that continuity. And Paul Brott said that he thought that was the best offensive line that Montana State had played so far this year. So I thought that was interesting. And then the final thing I expected from Yale is that I thought that there would be a couple players that would be as good as anybody Montana State has seen. And then again, those guys are just at Yale because they want to go to Yale. And Josh Pitzenberger is the number 1 guy. Josh Pitzenberger is probably the best running back or one of the best running backs in the FCS. He's got 1,600 something yards. He's built like a brick shithouse. And he's an All-American. He is their captain. They have him.
Yeah.
I just think the 6'1", 225-pound All-American captain from Yale probably has a bright future, whether that's in the NFL or, on Wall Street or whatever it might be. And I just thought Yale did a good job. And Montana State, they sputtered on offense and they had to punt 6 times. And I just think there was a lot that went into it. but I don't think there's that much to read into. I thought that Yale played well and Montana State played bad.
And support a Griz athlete. DraftWorks is a longtime favorite of beer enthusiasts across the Treasure State, and DraftWorks has created a sessionable, delicious lager that donates part of every sale to the name, image, and likeness efforts at the University of Montana. Up with Montana Lager is a crisp, effervescent beer that pours pale straw in color and greets you with an inviting malty aroma. And it's crafted with Griz athletes in mind. If you're headed to the tailgate or stocking up to watch football, give back to the NIL Collective at the University of Montana by drinking Up With Montana Lager, proudly created by DraftWorks Brewing.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
You talk about momentum too, but there's also a very, very real house money part of this. Like Yale didn't merely, pull an upset. Their season was over, man. Like they were literally done. And even when they got back on the plane and went back to Yale, I'll bet they still were like, are we really going to practice? Are we still going? This is insane. So then you show up. There's no nerves, man. There's no, whatever. There's excitement, there's all that stuff. But you're like, dude, this is the most house money game you could ever have, where you were actually done and you're here. So go do your thing, and they obviously played a really good football game. And I think that you're probably right to say, probably wouldn't want to be Stephen F. Austin Saturday.
Well, the other part that's just human nature, too, is that we talked so much for so long about if Justin Lamson was going to be ready for his first rivalry game. And then he was the player of the game in the first rivalry game. He won the game. And, again, I'm not saying he was, complacent or overlooking anything, but, to be on cloud nine, it's just inevitable that you just kind of come back down to earth. And the last factor worth mentioning is that Montana State was sick last week. They had an illness. I don't know what the illness was, but it cost a couple of their guys, the game. Brent Vegan said today that Neil Daly, their starting middle linebacker, missed the game and still hadn't practiced as of today because he's so sick. So hopefully he gets better. But, if one guy's got it, some guys have at least some lingering stuff. So Daly was out, and then Xavier Aarons, who's one of their other young inside linebackers, he looked like had a pretty serious knee injury. And so now you went from a group that had 5 in it to a group that has 2 in it. I guess, who am I missing? Bryce Grebe, Cole Taylor, both healthy. Oh, and then I guess Ryan Crea started playing a little bit because those other 2 guys were out. But still, you're just thin a little bit there too. And then you couple in the fact that Yale's 2 best players besides Pitzenberger are their guards. And then they have Pitzenberger. All right, the coaches are saying, well, we saw this guy. Where's 19? He's not out there. Great. Oh, 43 went down. Okay, boom. We're running inside zone right at these guys, and let's see what they got. So, survive, advance, all that stuff, and Montana State also probably inevitably came back down to earth because they whooped up on teams so bad between Mercyhurst and Yale. So, not making excuses for MSU, but I think that they're going to correct a lot of stuff, and I think they'll probably be ready to roll on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. You want to do some story time?
Yes, please. 1 sec. Let me pay some more bills here so I can
do that. Thought you might want to.
God, I'm funny. Big State Breakdown, probably presented by DraftWorks, and they have an Up With Montana lager that is directly benefiting student athletes at the University of Montana. They basically rebranded one of their best light beers, and any and all of the Up With that you buy, whether it's 6-packs or pints or whatever, they donate directly back to the NIL Collective. So drink a beer, support a student athlete. Appreciate DraftWorks for their continued support of what we got going on here at Skyline Sports. All right. Give me some of your stories. So you went with Kai.
Okay.
Kai, you gotta give people the update. How Kai is how old? What's his demo here?
Kai's 8. He's 4'5", 190.
He's I've been telling him since he was 2.5 that he was a future defensive tackle, much to the glee of Ryan. I don't know if Tina thinks anything about it, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many half Filipinos end up as defensive linemen, but he'd be in the running. But he is a thick. He's a fruitcake, man. A very dense chap. This boy. But he loves football, man. He's been playing football for like 5 months straight with the outdoor, flag football season, and now there's an indoor league that he's playing in. So, he loves it. But here's the thing: he has been to a couple Griz football games in his life, none this season. Usually, because the guy who goes is in the press box, working his tail off for the betterment of society. So, I gotta, he's got other stuff he's got to do. He can't come with me to the games or whatever. But this game, we've said, you know what? Hey, he hasn't been to a game this year. I'm going to try and get him to the game. Now, I don't have a ticket right yet for him as of Saturday. Now, I had looked, and this is another thing we can come back to, but the attendance on Saturday, I must say, I was very surprised at. Surprised at.
We get some tickets from both the radio and through Skyline Sports. So shout out Griz Athletics. By the way, go buy your tickets for Saturday's game. This is actually a paid advertisement by these guys. Go
yes.
gogriz.com/tickets, or just go to Griz Tix as well. But I inquired about if we had tickets as part of our advertising agreement, and they're like, no, not during playoffs because of the NCAA structure. But then I went online. You sent me that screenshot, and I was like, well, maybe you should give me some tickets so I can help you.
Yeah.
Give me 10 so I can give them to 10 people. Anyways, I thought that part was weird. But anyways, carry on about trying to find a ticket.
Anyway, I'll come back to that. But, we don't have a ticket. But I've got my press pass. And so we're like, okay. And I want to give a shout out. This is unpaid, but this is personal use. Man, I just love the mountain line in Missoula, Montana, dude. The bus goes everywhere. It's free. It picks up.
We could have a whole segment about this. Just the fact that, some people think that I don't know. I don't want to even go on that rant. Some people think that the mountain line's only for ditching the franchise, and if we just all use public transportation, it would make everybody's life better. That's as much as I will say about it.
100%. I think it picks up 3 blocks from my house, and especially when you're going to a Griz game, parking, traffic, the whole deal, it goes straight downtown. You can walk from there if you want to, or they all come at the same moment to downtown and then leave 2 minutes after. So you never have to worry about missing a connection. So you get on, ride the 4 more blocks, and you're there. You know what I mean? Right away. So I was like, okay, great. I know what time we're picking up here. I was like, and you've got one child. The more children that you have, it exponentially ruins every time frame that you ever have, right? So, but this is the other good thing about the bus is it's not waiting for you, man. So you have to do the thing. You can't. I'm very lax about my time stuff. I'll get there when I get there, whatever.
Right.
But you got to make it. So I'm like, okay, I know what it is. So I'm like, Kai, 30 minutes to go, buddy. What do we got? We got shoes. We got gloves. We got a hat. It's going to be ugly out. We got to be, ready to be out in the elements, whatever. So we're ready to go. 5 minutes before we're supposed to walk out the door, I've got it all timed out. I realized, I forgot. I got to actually grab my press pass. I run upstairs, and you have texts all about this from Saturday morning while I'm blowing you up while you're on the air trying to do a show.
Texting me during a 90-minute radio show that only has 1 break. So I am literally talking. I cannot not talk.
Listen, the last game, obviously, was the rivalry game, where we went straight from the game to your house to do the work that we do in the aftermath and the afterglow and the immediate reaction of that game, which is just one of the most fun evenings of the year, going along with the most fun game of the year. But also, I went straight from there, and I think for a lot of people, the post-Cat Griz world is a little foggy, right? And I'm like, what did I do with my press pass? Where is it? And I had my backpack. I was like, I swear I put it in here, whatever. Can't find it. So I'm scrambling, and my house is a catastrophe. I don't mind saying. And I'm hunting high and low for this thing. Time to leave has come and gone. We're not making the bus. I don't have the thing. And it's like, well, I guess could just try and get another ticket. But like, I mean, come on, it's so stupid. Plus, you got to have it. You know, you're gonna need it.
You're gonna need it, right?
I start looking around, and I'm like, did it somehow fall under here or whatever? And I'm looking, and you know, these press passes are on a lanyard, and it's like it's like a partially elastic kind of strap that it's on.
Yeah.
And underneath my dresser drawers, where mine and my wife's clothes are, I'm hunting around under there, and I just see the little edge of the lanyard line, and I'm like, how did it get under here? And I grab the strap and I pull it out. It's a bra. No press pass to be found. So that was disappointing. I thought I had it for sure. I didn't. I found it. It was in the backpack. The 9th time I looked in the backpack, I saw it. Anyway, we got
the guys who steal your socks. They put it back in the backpack just to mess with you.
Exactly. And
where did my forks go? It's the pens. Like, what happened to my?
Swear to God, found a spoon underneath the drawers in my bedroom. Been missing my spoons. There's one. So anyway, I don't know how this happens, but we get on down to the game. We find plenty of people who had tickets and were looking to move tickets and whatever. So found a guy who was raising money for his little league baseball team. So we threw a donation his way, got a ticket for Kai, go to the game. I get up to our seats. We are in the last row of one of the western sections on the north end of the stadium, but on the sideline, okay? And on the right of me, I've got Jim and Penny. God bless Jim and Penny. I think they've probably been married 50 years. I think they haven't missed a Griz game in those 50 years. They've been sitting in these seats right here. Did I say Jim and Penny? I'm sorry. It's Dan and Penny on my left. On my right, Jim and Penny. Jim is to the left of me. So 3 people, a couple over here and a single guy here. Both of them north of 70. All 3 folks. And I mean, we weren't there 7 minutes before Kai had a box of peanut M&Ms in his hand because Dan had gone off to the concessions, going to bring candy to the kids. So, I mean, it's just that kind of guy. And just the old world Griz fans, man, who've been doing this forever. They care about it. They love it. They root them on. Penny's looking at me, asking me stuff that happened because she can't totally see everything, at this point in her life. And so I'm kind of talking her through some of the stuff that's going on. Couldn't have been sweeter people, I mean, just to be with. And then you're there. What a day. I know everybody's kind of a little worried about the weather. It felt like it was a dome almost with the low clouds and the white Mount Sentinel. And I was worried about it, man. So sweet.
When I got down to the pregame show, it was
ugly.
Pouring sideways.
Yes.
The tent that we broadcast under, it's still wet today.
Yeah.
Because it was just an hour and a half. And then once I actually started, then it cleared up a little bit and it was all good. It was fine. And I thought the day on Saturday was beautiful, but the start was bad, gnarly.
So now this is kind of getting back to some of the things that we're hearing comments from people who say different things about, well, Bobby Houck should have done this and done that. So I got Jim over here. He's a Marine, okay? He also played football back in the day, and he's going to tell you exactly what he thinks about the football game in no uncertain terms. But also couldn't have been a nicer guy, but just very, very direct and adamant about his view of the things. And then Dan and Penny over here, they're just having the greatest day of their life. I mean, these 2 people couldn't just be happier in the world. But within 30 seconds of one another, Dan looks over at me, just happy as a clam, going, I cannot believe how much we're getting after the SDSU quarterback with our pass rush. 30 seconds later, Jim in my other ear, both of them never spoken to each other, goes, why the hell can't we ever get after these quarterbacks? This Griz pass rush is just garbage. And I'm in the middle just laughing because it's just, we're watching the same thing and these 2 people think the exact opposite is happening regardless of what's real or whatever. And it's just, it brought me joy, man, So that was another little thing. The other thing is...
Interjection of some analysis really quick. The Griz pass rush has been, I thought it was... good, early, non-existent, middle, okay, getting better as the stretch run came around, and it has been tremendous the last 2 weeks. And I think part of that is because I think Caleb Otluski really turned a corner. I think Solomon Tuliaupupu turned a real corner, but more than anything on Saturday is because Keon Loud was back. And I think you can say, oh, they gave up 29 points, but whatever. The fact of the matter is, if you can play man on both sides effectively, and that just is going to set up so many other things. And then you can really unleash Tuliaupupu. He doesn't have to set an edge or anything like that. You can just bring him off the edge and just let him roll. And so I can't remember which one, Dave or Jim, but whoever said the pass rush was great, he's right.
Yeah,
it has been great the last couple of weeks.
Dan had it. Dan had it correct on this particular Saturday. The other thing is, behind all the seats and in front of the boxes, you can walk the entire length of the sidelines effectively, right? Inside of Washington Grizzly Stadium.
One of my favorite spots to watch the game.
Yeah, great post up there and do
now
that.
That they got the noodles, it's not in the wagon anymore. It actually has a storefront. You go get the noodles real quick, then you just eat them as you walk up and down. That's one of my favorite traditions.
So, but the interesting thing is that if you're all the way on the north side of things, that walkway ends and the seats are actually buffeted right up against the thing. And it's kind of a strange thing because these people who have these box seats and they're, nice seats and, however they came across them or whatever. But if you're standing in that back row, you actually can block the view of people who are sitting in that thing. So I'm trying to kind of duck, but also they got TVs. And it's interesting when we watch games in the press box, Colter, what do we do after almost every play? We just shoot our heads straight up to the corner to watch the replay, because the replay you get on the TV is very often not what you're getting on Griz Vision inside the stadium, and often with a lot more angles and things to actually see what's going on. So there's a couple of times, in particular, the blocked punt, or at least the tipped punt, which I couldn't tell if it got tipped or not while I was watching it from my seat. So I kind of turned around to the people in the box while they're watching the thing, and I'm signing like, hey, did that get tipped? It looked like it got tipped, and they seemed to think it did or whatever. But then now you got a little camaraderie with the people behind you, even though there's glass between you. And at some point, somebody looks at my son and they just know, well, this kid's hungry. Like there's no question about it. It doesn't matter if he's walking right out of the buffet, he's ready to eat right now again. And the guy's like, basically signs to me, does he want a hot dog? And I'm like, of course he wants a hot dog. And he's like, all right, come around. So we came around to the side. They feeding Kai hot dogs out the side window of the box. So again, a big thanks to the folks up there in the box behind us for being generous with their, with their Frankfurters. And I say all of this, okay, everything that I'm talking about now. You and I, man, we go to these games. We grew up huge football fans. Griz, you went to the University of Montana, and it's like, what better way to be involved in sports than in sports media? And I think it's true. It's an absolute treat. It's a blast. It's fun. It's great. But you also see how the sausage is made, and you see a lot of the things, whether it's administrative stuff or rule stuff or just people when the lights aren't on, and you can get a little disenfranchised or whatever, on some stuff. And also the games become a lot more analysis, story driven, but not rooting interest driven.
Sure. Right.
And
or experience driven either.
Or experience driven.
We are experiencing it from the media perspective, but that can get sort of routine. Whereas it is
not
different
when you're sitting next to Dan and Jim,
exactly,
and they're chopping it up and yelling and rooting and living and dying with every play, and this and that. And also obviously to go with your kid, take your son to a ball game. You're still, we got a little while before Colter and his son are headed to the game together.
To a game. No
McCall needs a little more sentience to get there. But
he's 1 or 2 years away. This wild man is not going to a game. No. I promise you.
But I guess the whole point is, like, I had a very, if I may say, romantic day at Washington Grizzly Stadium, like a nostalgic throwback type of day where it's like, you're rooting for your football team. And believe me, I'm rooting like hell for the Grizzlies to win, because, the only thing I want in this lifetime is Montana versus Montana State in 2 weeks. So I am, I'm rooting for him. I'm there with Kai. He's having a great time watching the game and taking it in. And it's kind of one of those sort of memories types of deals. And I think that, again, we're so fortunate to have the teams that we have in the state that we have, the facilities that we have in the state that we have. And because I was there Saturday, specifically Washington Grizzly Stadium at the foot of Mount Sentinel on a day like that, I mean, it just doesn't get better. And then they go out and play the way that they played, and you just have this unbelievable day. And then we waited so Kai could go down on the field after, because that's like a huge deal, and the players are walking around and he's down there, and he just looks at me and he says, I want to play football here, and that's
nice.
Like, those are the seeds that get planted, right? At some point where you grow up wanting to be a Cat or a Grizz, and you grow up wanting to, or whatever, an LSU Tiger, wherever you might be. But these are the moments that sort of like put that out there as like this vision that you have. And it was just a fabulous day, man. And I was really sort of revisiting why this is so fun to begin with all of that, and get to do it with friends both new and old. And so it was a great day all the way around. And then we rode the mountain line home.
Nice.
For what it's worth, this is basically a non sequitur, but I'll say it anyway. We are leaving the football stadium, and Kai, having eaten his 4,000 to 5,000 calories at the game as he does, he's got to go to a bathroom. But as you might imagine, like, there's not a lot of room at the inn anywhere you want to go.
Right.
When you're, spilling out of Washington Grizzly, we'd already left the stadium. So I was like, we'll just go to the transit center, because that's where we're going anyway. So we walked back to like the Mountain Line like bus station, and they've got a bathroom in there. So he walks in and goes, and it's been a little while. And I walk in just to kind of see, and nobody else is in there. And I go, how we doing, pal? Kai says nothing. The guy in the other stall that goes, I'm pretty good. I guess I should have looked to see if maybe he was probably confused, like, why is somebody asking me how I'm doing? But I'm fine, thanks.
Unbelievable.
So there we go. That was our Saturday. We rode the bus home and had a beautiful day. Yeah.
Well, in the name of balance, we're going to take Kai to a Bobcat game too, so then you can see what both sides are like, and that they could be an aspiring nose tackle for either or.
Well, maybe I take him to a game on the 21st. That would be
how about
pretty spectacular.
How about that? What else do you have to say just about the analysis of the game, though? I have a hypothetical for you. Actually, not even a hypothetical. I have a feeling to share.
Even better.
I think that the last, like you said, where's the sausage made? We see where the sausage is made. And me, as much as anybody, for a variety of reasons, because of my addiction to being a reporter and insatiable appetite for information, inability to regulate myself, like all these different things that exist. But I have been so cynical about college football. I still very much enjoy watching the action on the field.
Games, yeah.
But like the state of it, especially at the top level, these guys that are getting fired and hired and all this stuff, these guys are just objectively pieces of garbage. Like, what? Like, they're not good people. Like the installation of like values and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure that's happening a little bit, but like it's waning a lot. And that's why I enjoy this level of football. But I do think we're finding a little bit of balance here, because for a while, for probably like 2 years, every time I'd see a dude at the FCS level completely ball out, like just ball out of his mind in a specific game, I would think, well, shit, that guy's going to transfer.
He's out. Yeah.
Like, where is he going to go? Like, if he's not a senior, how high a level could that guy go to? And when I was watching Montana, specifically on Saturday, I didn't think that. Eli Gilman, I think, is like the biggest coin flip. But if I am Kale Ayat and Brooks Davis and any of those other guys that are on that offense that aren't seniors, like, why would you leave when you can just ball so hard at this level and get such fat numbers Like, if let's just take, and I'm not putting this on these guys or anything, but let's just take Ayat and Davis, for example. Just come back together next year and just have Brooks Davis have 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns.
Well,
and then you guys can both explore leaving after that. And I'm not saying you should. Maybe you stay the whole time. But like right now, why wouldn't you just, with all the uncertainty in college football and all these moving parts and all this stuff, and the fact that you can still get paid at Montana and like play this wicked high level of football and also win and play in front of people and all this stuff. Like, why would you ever leave that? And I think that the kids are starting to understand that now too. I'm getting that vibe from a lot of these guys on both the Griz and the Cats.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it is going to be very, individual and situation specific.
Sure.
But particularly like to next year, your example of Ayat and Brooks Davis.
Right.
Dude, you two are better together than you're going to be apart.
Exactly.
Period. And at Montana.
Like if you're the Dowler twins of Montana State, why would you leave? Like you guys are balling your face off, and you're also twins from Montana. That like you are the two most beloved people in. I mean, they are two of the 5 most famous athletes in the state of Montana right now, together as twin brothers who get to play their 5th year, senior years together because somehow their injury red shirts aligned after not aligning at the beginning. Like, why would you ever leave that? I just think that these guys. I think these guys understand that though now.
I do too. And I mean, obviously when you're talking about guys from Montana who are playing as brothers on the same team, totally. I mean, that's going to be pretty hard to break that up. But I mean, I can think of some pretty strong rationale to leave also depending on your circumstance, right? I mean, Eli Gilman, he can get some money at the University of Montana, but he can't get Big Ten money at the University of Montana.
Sure.
And
what if you're him though? You just don't even do the Big Ten thing. You just go to the NFL.
Well, I mean, what if? But like a lot of guys are trying to go to the NFL.
No, that's true. It's true. I think it's just a matter of you get an evaluation. If you get an evaluation from a scout that says you need to go play in the Power 5 to prove to people you can do it, I think you have to do that. If you get an evaluation that says if you come out right now, you could be a 7th round draft pick. Don't put 250 more carries. On
you mean go right now to the league as opposed to playing another?
He's a because he's a 4th year. He redshirted. So like
no, I know he's got another year left.
Do you really need another 250 carries? Like you'll get 250 carries at Minnesota or Michigan State or whatever. Ouch! I mean that could actually deter you. Even if you perform well, it could just put more tread on your tires. I don't know.
I don't know either, and I think that's the whole point. Is like. We don't know what the right answer is. We don't know what is the percentage of, money more that you're going to get to go to one of those schools and what you're getting here. Maybe it's not even as much because here you're getting the top shelf deal that Montana has to offer. Whereas if you go to the Big Ten, you're just a dude, or whatever, right. So I don't know how that.
Okay. Let's break that down. Let's break that down for a second. Cause I don't fear. I know we've already gone down the road as a people, as a society, where like the almighty dollar rules everything. Like that's so very clear. But I think that sometimes people they take it as like an end all be all without having like a holistic perspective. Like I've gotten offered 2 different radio jobs outside of the Montana market that would have paid me way more money, and both of them were in places that were way cheaper to live in than Montana. But I think about like the holistic perspective of what I have here and like, why would I ever want to leave that? And like the autonomy, number one, that I have here, that's crazy. Like that's irreplicable. The expertise from just a lifetime of living here, et cetera, et cetera. This isn't about me though. If you're Eli Gilman, for example, or one of these guys, and you can get, I don't for sure know what these guys are getting, but they're definitely getting what would be considered like probably a good to really good salary in Montana if you're like a top level NIL earner at the University of Montana.
Mm-hmm.
But they're making as much money, or if not more money, than a lot of people listen to this podcast. I would say, not crazy, not 7 figures, but certainly probably approaching, if not slightly surpassing 6 figures. Okay, so you can get a little bit close to a 6-figure job, and you also get a free truck or a free car or whatever. But you also have the adoration of the vast majority of the community and that also then can lead to other opportunities in your life. I just think there's a more holistic picture there too. It's just like what Travis DeCuire sold Money Williams on. Go to Tennessee,
sure.
make $800,000, but you also might get shut down on average 6 points per game, and your NBA days are
over.
Numbered.
Yeah.
Or stay here and play for me, average 18 points a game, play 33 minutes every single night.
Be the national player of the week.
Be a national player of the week. Like, you know, we can't match it, but we can give you some.
Yeah.
And we can also get you there.
Well, and I think, you know, again, this is why it's so sort of singular, like person to person. The other thing, too, is the flip side of all this, Colter, is you talk about you can't help but watching, you know, a guy ball out and just be like, wonder where he's going to go now.
Sure.
But also, the place where a bunch of those guys went is the University of Montana.
Sure.
Like,
right.
Their entire defense is that. Michael Wortham is that. Like,
right.
you know, there's losses, but there's gains too. And you know, we wouldn't get to be watching Michael Wortham in Missoula, Montana if it wasn't for the transfer portal.
Sure.
You know,
right.
And so you gotta go, okay, well, it is what it is. And this is why, because you know, you forever have been screaming about how when we introduce money like this, all the rich are just going to get richer and all the top teams are just going to be better than everybody else.
Sure.
And the opposite has happened.
Man, okay, let's touch on that for a second because I've been thinking about this. The rich have gotten richer. I just didn't consider how many rich there were. And I also did not consider how much richer you can get if you just manifest success. Indiana, great example. Indiana had money. They don't have Michigan money. They don't have Michigan State money. They don't have Ohio State money.
They do have Mark Cuban.
They do have some money. And then once you win a little bit, though, and you've never won before, you had football for 150 years, you never won nothing ever. And then you go win 10 games 3 years in a row, you got a lot more money because people are like, oh, we don't just have to fund this 10-man Hoosiers basketball team over here. Oh, you need some money? Okay. Let's keep filling this up. You go keep beating Ohio State. Yep. Yes, sir. Write the check.
Yep.
I didn't consider that. I didn't consider that, like, I just thought it was going to be 10 to 12 teams, Texas, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, whatever. You know the names, Notre Dame, and then everybody else. But I didn't consider that there's guys at Vanderbilt with all the money in the world. There's guys at Indiana with all the money.
The school's called Vanderbilt.
Right. Like, there's alums and boosters at another 20 schools outside that top 12 where if you beat they all thought the same thing. You beat anybody in that top 12, write the check. So you're right. It has expanded it quite a bit.
But, and so, I mean, that is more of an FBS phenomenon at this point than it is an FCS phenomenon. And that's probably going to stay that way to some extent. But I do think that all of this, all the moving parts, all the stuff, it's different than what it used to be, man. It just is. And
it is.
It's becoming more and more rare that a kid just shows up and you get to follow his or her 5 or 6 year career at your school where you know them. And senior day is like, I mean, what was that? What was Travis's team a couple of years ago where they had 3 dudes on senior day that had all played like 120 games for the Montana Grizzlies, right?
And last year's team was same deal. They had 5 seniors.
And you still, I mean, it still does happen, but I just think that it happens a lot less than it did.
Yeah. But I think the pendulum's swinging back.
It might be, but also I think that people are like, okay, you're a Montana Grizzly, you're a Montana State Bobcat this season, and if it goes great, maybe you'll stay another season. And if it doesn't, we're not stuck with you.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of kind of ways to. I mean, we know for sure that Bobby Houck has used that transfer portal as an off ramp for more than one guy, as much as he has an on ramp for people coming into the program. You know, and he's trying to get the group he wants in there to be there by any means necessary, and certainly appears that he and the staff have done it for this season.
Shine Beer Sanctuary is leading the charge when it comes to promoting beer culture in Montana. Located at the corner of Church and Main and downtown Bozeman, the locally owned and operated tap house and bottle shop has the best beer selection in the Treasure State. The bar has 32 rotating beers on tap with everything from Duvel to local ciders, gluten-free beers, and non-alcoholic options. The bottle shop has more than 400 beer offerings from all over the world, and Shine offers Cicerone-trained beer guides. Come enjoy beer heaven at Shine Beer Sanctuary in Bozeman.
Will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
Big Sky Breakdown, SkylineSportsMT.com, proudly presented in part by the local dispensary. Local dispensary Mercantile has 2 different locations in Missoula, one downtown, free parking downtown, also in East Missoula as well. They are doing right now a raffle to donate to the food bank. So if you like to help out for the holidays, go check out either of those 2 locations for the local dispensary and Mercantile in Missoula.
The last thing that I want to say to you before we should, well, it's your show. You can do whatever you want. But there was a moment on Saturday where everything shifted. The Grizzlies were down. Then they kind of started coming back a little bit. And then they were still losing. And then all of a sudden it clicked. And they got that thing rolling. And they took a lead. And the lead looked like it was only going to build on itself for the remainder of the game. It was somewhere in the third quarter, if memory serves. And Peter Christian comes on the intercom and announces the final score of the North Dakota State football game. And then they had what I thought was a very inspired move of getting a camera to zoom in on somebody's phone that had the final of the game, and they're showing it up on Griz Vision. And I'm imagining that something similar happened in Bozeman as well. But
it was a standing ovation at Bobcat Stadium.
At this moment in Missoula, the Grizzlies are running South Dakota State out of the gym, and North Dakota State is gone. And everybody just looks around at each other and is looking at this team on the field, and you just go, oh. And obviously you have the thought of Montana State over here if you're a Grizz fan, but you go, we're going to win the whole damn thing. And I guarantee that every Cat fan standing there in Bozeman looked at each other and said the exact same thing. And we are, for the first time ever, Colter, this is literally unprecedented, in a position going into the quarterfinals where it is overwhelmingly likely that a Montana school is going to win the Natty this season. And obviously anything can happen. If you didn't learn anything from Illinois State last week, take notes. But
right.
The 2 best teams in the United States of America by a margin are the Grizzlies and the Bobcats. And you still got to go out there and you still got to do it. But this new reality has created so much excitement, and fervor. And I don't think there's going to be a 1/3 empty Washington Grizzlies Stadium on this coming Saturday. That's what I think.
Yeah, Andrew Schmidt and I talked about this last week because he has been doing the FCS is watered down. There's no excuses for the Cats and the Grizz to not be in the Final Four year in and year out. And I agree with that. But the part that has not been acknowledged until this year, and we've been trying to set this narrative so people can understand, the FCS is watered down. There's not as many teams that are national championship competitors. But the bar to win a national championship at the FCS level has never been higher. And certainly North Dakota State losing might impact that statement. But what teams have been chasing over the last 15 years, like, again, there was way more teams. The FCS, the Division I AA, was created in 1978. And between 1978 and 2010, there was probably between, I don't know, 10 and 20 teams every year that could win the championship. There's a couple outlier years, like that Marshall team with Randy Moss in 1996. Some of those Georgia Southern teams in the late 80s and early 2000s. An Eastern Kentucky team back there that John and Jim Harbaugh's dad coached. I can't remember what the exact year was, but mostly like 2013 and 2019 North Dakota State are beating everybody. I mean, that 2019 North Dakota State team had gone undefeated like 3 times in a row. Like,
hadn't lost a game since.
I mean, they had their whole offensive line was drafted. Hunter Lepke still plays for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you can go down the line. Christian Watson caught 2 touchdowns for your Green Bay Packers.
Yes, he is.
Carson Wentz. All these guys, they're ridiculously talented. The bar's never been that high, and now the Montana schools have at least elevated to at least be in the mix with reaching that bar. And I agree with you. I think so much of it's because of the environment. And so we'll see how it all goes. But this has been my thought for a long time. I have been a proponent that the Griz and the Cats need to get into a different division. But I also give them immense credit for staying in the division that they're in right now until it all falls apart. Because you should just try to win this division over and over and over again until the future tells you what it might bring.
I think that's a very good point, and I just think getting back to the current state of affairs, the entire state of Montana, football fans, regardless of who you root for, should revel in the fact that right now, shockingly, it's not, well, let's try and make it to the Natty and roll the dice, see what we can do. It's, if we go to Nashville, we're bringing a trophy back.
Man.
That's it. And that is thrilling to have that be a reality. And again, you got to say UC Davis is on the other side. UC Davis could beat either the Griz or the Cats.
This is my doomsday scenario. This is my doomsday scenario: is that Montana State play in Bozeman, and then the winner of that game goes to Nashville and loses to pick any of them: Illinois State, Tarleton State, Villanova, or UC Davis.
Yeah. But the point, of course, it could happen. Of course, it could. These are good football teams, but it would be a huge upset, and it would be a huge disappointment, which would suck. I mean, it would be terrible for whichever team it was. It would be awful. But right now, I'm not trying to sit here and worry about the downsides. Right here, I'm riding the wave, baby. And the fact that we're sitting here and there's no Jackrabbits and there's no Bison, and it's the 2 best teams both by ranking that are remaining and just by eye test and reality that are left are in Missoula and Bozeman. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So let's enjoy it and hope that these 2 teams come to play every single week from here on out, which I think that they will.
Cash One Pawn, Missoula's #1 pawn shop.
You want money? We got money. You need money? We got money. We're cash.
Do yourself a favor and make Cash One Pawn part of your online shopping habits. Cash One Pawn has an awesome online inventory, everything from firearms to power tools to speaker equipment to jewelry. Visit Cash One Pawn today.
Cash One Pawn.
8720 Roller Coaster Road, CashOnePawn.com.
Thinking about selling your home in Missoula? Here's the truth. Buyers are still out there, but they're being picky. That means how you market your home matters more than ever. I'm Ty Hobbs with Hobbs Homes at Keller Williams, and my job is to make sure your listing stands out. From strategic pricing to professional marketing, stunning photography, and targeted advertising, I'll position your home to attract the right buyers and get you the best price possible. In today's market, it's not just about putting a sign in the yard, it's about telling your home story, creating urgency, and negotiating every dollar in your favor. If you've been on the fence about selling, now's the time to talk strategy. Let's see what your home could sell for and how we can make it happen.
I got 3 more quick hitters for you, Bo.
Okay. Why not?
We'll be quick.
All
but
right.
First, I must acknowledge that our great friend and sensei, Bill Lamberty, has told me that there will not be a national champion that does not end in Dakota State ever again in his what he calls his short time on this earth. And I had to rub it into him on Sunday. I said, "Guess what, buddy? There is going to be. It's this year. What a beautiful thing." Okay, quickly. UC Davis is sitting there on the left side of the bracket. They're only 1.5-point favorites against Illinois State. I want to know if that number is influenced by the fact that Illinois State just went to Fargo and won, or what? Because UC Davis played Illinois State in the playoffs last year, beat them 42-10. So that's weird. But you got UC Davis over there. You got Illinois State. You got Tarleton State. You got Villanova. Is UC Davis just licking their chops as the 8 seed, as like the top ranked team in that bracket? It looks like Montana State 2021, sort of.
Why not? Why not?
Right.
But by the way, are you asking if the Illinois State victory over NDSU at NDSU is influencing the line the
Of
following
course it
week?
is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It's the second home loss in NDSU's D1 playoff history. I think that's probably carries some weight with bettors.
I think that UC Davis is absolutely licking their chops, and they should be. The only thing is this complete non-entity that when I think about, all I see is just shadow and emptiness, and that's Tarleton State. Like, this is a team I haven't seen one snap, one play this entire year.
Mm-hmm.
But I sent you this 3 weeks ago, and of course you knew this because you're you. But NDSU had the second shortest odds on the board to win the national championship. This is 3 to 4 weeks ago. At I think they were like maybe plus 1,200 or something like that. I don't even remember what it was. No, maybe it was plus 800. But Tarleton State was plus 550. They were the shortest odds in America.
Behind NDSU, you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. NDSU was the shortest. And then
NDSU was minus 300, which is minus unprecedented for a field of 2014.
No, I messed that whole thing up. NDSU was the
minus 300, but then Tarleton
minus 300
second.
But Montana State, South Dakota State, all way
UC
longer
Davis,
on the board.
South Dakota, they
and
were
it was
all
Tarleton
below.
State. It was like plus, I don't remember, it was 500 or 800, and I realize that's a significant difference. But the point is, they were the number 2 betting favorite to win.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting here going, well, I mean, I'm not just going to I've been sitting here calling my shot about the Montana schools for the last 45 minutes, but there's obviously some real talent out there still playing football in this FCS tournament. And you should certainly be aware of that. And obviously, whatever team comes out of the left side or the other side, depending on how you look, of the bracket, you'll start to go, oh, that's a player. Oh, damn, that's a nice pass rush. Oh, look at this future NFL offensive lineman. Like, that's just going to happen. So we'll see who it turns out to be. But UC Davis, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to say that there's going to be a quarterback on that side of the bracket that's going to touch who they got.
No, Penny's dope, bro. He's sick.
He's so sick. So, and they're a really good team that's really well coached. I feel like, Tim Plow is down there just like doing his thing. And he's just like he just seems like such an even, in control, knows how to get his guys ready to go, how to put a team together. He's like, this is a guy who should be a football coach. Like, he knows how to do this.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
A football coach at a public Ivy. Like, that's the part where you're like, that guy should be a football coach at a smart guy school. That like, he literally is perfect for that.
So, all that to say, they should be licking their chops, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. Okay. I'm just being fair, but I don't think Illinois State or Villanova or probably Stephen F. Austin deserves to be in the conversation as a national championship contender.
Yeah.
Who has the most pressure on them amongst the other national championship contenders. It's basically the 4 teams that are at home, right? UC Davis, Montana State, Montana, Tarleton State. You can probably throw out the left side of the bracket. So basically the question is, who has more pressure on them? Now that NDSU is out, because I do think that is, we keep going back to human nature. You don't have to slay Goliath anymore. So now you're thinking, who's going to be the Goliath? Who has more pressure on them, Montana or Montana State?
Well,
Unless you think it's Tarleton State, but I don't think that's real.
No, the answer is whoever the best remaining team is the team that has the most pressure on them. And then the question has to be answered, is the best remaining team Montana or Montana State?
Right. And we'll find out, I guess, in less than 2 weeks.
Hopefully we do. But it's the two, I will say this, the Grizzlies and the Bobcats have the exact same amount of pressure on them now to win a national championship as each other, and it is a mountain of it. And I don't think that's all that important to them, like winning it, but the pressure part of it, you know what I mean? I don't think that they...
Sure.
I would hope that the coaches and the coaching staff would articulate things like NDSU losing as a beautiful opportunity, not as, oh boy, now's our chance. Now's our chance to get the bite of the apple. You know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if Bobby Houck goes in there pissed off as a Hornet that they lost. We wanted them, but screw it. Now we'll just have to play.
I bet you neither side has talked about it.
No, well, yeah, of course.
I mean, I'm sure they've talked about. I guarantee you they've talked about it amongst themselves, but I guarantee you they have not talked.
No.
I should say I guarantee. I don't think they've talked about it as a team, right?
Absolutely, you're right about that. But
I know what you're saying. Though Bobby Houck saying to his coaches or whatever, not to his team.
And just the point is you're not going to do anything to add obviously pressure to your team, but I do think that you can say. Let's put it like this. Last week, when you said we control our own destiny and the trophy is ours, we just have to go take it. Those words sound truer this week than they did last week. You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
That's the difference. And so now when you say it, you're eye to eye with every guy in that room going, we're doing this, And again, I mean, I think it's awesome.
Last thing,
okay.
There's been some stuff, whatever. People are talking about how, don't overlook South Dakota and Missoula on Saturday or Stephen F. Austin and Bozeman on Friday. I think there's a 0% chance that either of these teams overlook their current opponents because I think they can see their future with ultimate clarity. And I also think the Cats are going to bounce back, try to get the taste out of their mouth, even though they won last week. And they had all this controversy. They went viral for something that I thought was a nothing burger, but whatever. And Montana, I think, is just going to try to keep the momentum rolling. There's no chance that either of these teams have a trap game or, overlook their current opponent, right?
No. I think that's for you and me and the rest of the fan bases to do, is to overlook these opponents and look down the road. And it's really easy to do right now. But it is the one job that Bobby Houck and Brent Vegan have this week is to keep the blinders on, the horse bridled, and focused on what is dead straight ahead of you, and that is South Dakota and Stephen F. Austin, respectively, and just doing what you do. I mean, this is now the 12th, 13th week of doing this. Hey, it's Monday. This is what we do Monday. Hey, it's Tuesday. This is what we do Tuesday. Hey, it's Wednesday. It's install day. And you just like that, and you just do it. But again, it's a mentality thing.
Yeah.
Where I am excited about the Grizzlies playing the Bobcats. I hope they're not excited about playing each other.
Sure.
I hope they're excited about playing who they play.
Yeah.
And that, again, you talk about this thing on the scope of a team, but what is a team? A team is a collection of individuals, and each individual has to be able to handle for themselves and go, no, I'm all in on the quarterfinals this Saturday.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all.
Yeah, they also just have such a tried and true proof of concept, right?
Yep.
Montana State's on an 11-game winning streak. Griz have won 12 out of 13. Like, how do we operate to get to this point? Here we are. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one part where Bobby Hauke is 1 week at a time, focus on the opponent, whatever, no bluster when it's talking about it in public. But if the whole plan to get to this point of performance was calculated, there's no question he's talked about that with his team. Hey, boys, we're going to get to this point in the season, and then we're going to take the gloves off. And I think that that's a real thing. I think it's a real thing when it talks about the art of momentum that he wants to build within the scope of a season. And Brett Vegan, same thing. Hey, we can see it now. We've had our hiccup. Let's roll. Like, I agree with you. I don't think there's any way they overlook each other. They overlook anybody before each other to get to then playing each other again.
I think you're completely right about that. And yeah, I think these two teams are going to be ready to roll, and I think it's going to be a fun Saturday. I mean, I'm thrilled that there's 2 more games in the state of Montana Saturday and quarterfinal matchups that are going to be awesome to watch and great games to be at and exciting and fun. And I hope everybody has as beautiful an experience and this Saturday as I got to have this past Saturday with my guy.
I'm glad you got to do it. Hi, Kai, son. Good job. And we'll talk to you soon. But thanks for being here today.
Bet.